Hey everybody, welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today we're going to be taking a look at something that I think is super relevant for a lot of you out there, especially if you're in the world of startups and you're trying to build out your team. We're talking about HR.
Yes, we are.
Specifically, we found this really cool article, and it's from Talent Acquisition and People Strategy.
Okay.
This is Unitique. Please like and subscribe this video. It is important for us and YouTube algorithms.
And the title is Why Startups Need Fractional HR for Cost-Effective, Flexible HR Solutions. And I think this is something that a lot of startups struggle with. You need HR, but maybe you're not big enough to have a full HR team, or you need certain aspects of HR, but not all of it.
Yeah, definitely. And this article really digs into that. And what are some of the solutions?
Right, and the title kind of gives it away. But we're going to talk about fractional HR today.
We are.
So before we dive in, I think it's important just to define what is fractional HR. What are we actually talking about here?
Yeah, so fractional HR, it's really about bringing in HR professionals on a part-time or project basis. So instead of hiring someone full-time, you're getting that expertise for specific needs.
Okay, so it's kind of like having a specialist on call.
Yeah.
Just for the HR tasks that you actually need.
Exactly, and it's super flexible. So you can scale it up or down as your startup grows.
So if you have a big hiring push, you can bring in, fractional HR for recruiting.
Yes.
Or if you need help with onboarding new employees, you can bring in someone for that specific project.
Exactly. And you're only paying for what you need. You're not paying a full-time salary or benefits. It's really cost-effective.
Okay. So it's flexible and it's cost-effective.
Yeah.
It sounds like a pretty good deal so far.
It definitely has a lot of potential, especially for startups who are, watching their budget.
Right. I mean, every dollar counts in those early stages.
For sure.
So the article really lays out, why this is such a smart move for startups. And one of the things they emphasize is access to expertise. So instead of, maybe settling for someone with less experience, you can actually get access to seasoned HR professionals.
Yeah, you're getting the best of the best without breaking the bank. It's like having a mentor on your team.
Right. Someone who's been there, done that, and can help you avoid those common HR pitfalls.
Exactly. And that can be invaluable, especially in those early stages when you're still figuring things out.
Yeah. You don't want to make those rookie HR mistakes.
No, you don't.
Okay, so we've talked about the expertise.
Yeah.
The other big thing is cost effectiveness. And we touched on that a little bit, but let's dive into that a little deeper.
Yeah. So like I said, you're not paying for a full-time salary, benefits, healthcare, all of that.
Yeah.
You're only paying for the specific services you need when you need them.
Right. So it's like paying as you go.
Exactly. And that can free up so much budget for other areas of your business. You can invest in product development, marketing, all the things that are essential for growth.
I mean, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to free up some budget?
Exactly.
The other thing that the article highlights, and I think this is really important for startups, is scalability.
Yeah.
Startups, they grow so quickly and their needs are constantly changing.
Right.
So how does fractional HR adapt to that?
Well, that's the beauty of it. You can scale your fractional HR team up or down as needed. So if you're in a period of rapid growth, you can bring in more support. And if things slow down, you can easily scale back.
So you're not stuck with
Yeah.
a long-term contract or a team that's too big for your needs.
Exactly. It's all about flexibility and adapting to the ever-changing startup world.
Okay, I love that. And I think the last benefit that really stood out to me in the article is the idea of focusing on your core business functions.
Yeah.
So as a startup founder, you're already wearing a million hats.
Right. You're doing everything.
Exactly. And HR can be this huge time suck. It's all this paperwork compliance stuff that you have to deal with.
Yeah, it can be really distracting.
How does fractional HR help with that?
Well, it takes those essential but time-consuming HR tasks off your plate. So you can focus on what you do best, building your product, marketing your business, all the things that are going to drive growth.
Okay, so it's like having a team of HR ninjas who come in and handle all the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Exactly. You can focus on your passion and your vision, and they'll take care of the rest.
All right, I'm sold. I'm convinced fractional HR sounds pretty amazing.
It's definitely a game changer for a lot of startups.
So now that we've kind of laid the groundwork and we understand what fractional HR is, I'm curious to dive into the specifics.
Okay.
How does it actually work in practice? What are some of the key areas that fractional HR can help with? And are there any potential downsides or challenges to consider?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so let's dive into some of the specifics of fractional HR and how it can actually help startups tackle those everyday HR challenges. There are a lot of moving pieces when you're building a company.
Yeah, absolutely. And The article highlights a few key areas where fractional HR can really make a difference.
Okay, so let's start with talent acquisition. I mean, finding the right people is so crucial for any company, but especially in those early startup days.
Oh, it's make or break. You need a strong team to build a successful company, and fractional HR can be a secret weapon for finding those A players.
Okay, so walk me through this. How does a fractional HR pro actually help with talent acquisition?
Well, these are people who live and breathe talent acquisition. I mean, they have the experience, they have the networks, they know how to find those hidden gems who are going to be the perfect fit for your company and for your specific needs.
So they're like talent magnets.
Exactly.
Able to cut through all the noise and find those diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, they're often tapped into industry networks, online communities. They might even have access to talent pools that you wouldn't even know about.
Okay, that's huge, especially for startups who might not have, the budget to invest in expensive recruiting tools or platforms.
Exactly. And they bring a level of expertise to the table that can be invaluable.
Yeah.
They know how to write compelling job descriptions, how to screen candidates effectively, how to conduct interviews that actually reveal a candidate's true potential.
So they're like a seasoned coach in your corner, guiding you through every step of the hiring process.
Exactly.
Making sure you're making smart decisions that are going to set your team up for success.
Exactly. And it's not just about filling a seat, it's about finding people who are truly passionate about your mission, who share your values, who are going to contribute to building something special.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of building something special, let's talk about onboarding, which I think is an often overlooked but crucial part of the employee experience.
Oh, absolutely. First impressions are everything. And a bad onboarding experience can really send a talented new hire running for the hills.
Oh, yeah. It's like showing up to a party where no one knows your name and you're just kind of left to fend for yourself. It's awkward and it's uncomfortable.
Exactly. And you don't want your new hires to feel that way. So fractional HR can step in and create a structured, welcoming onboarding process that sets new hires up for success from day one.
Okay, so instead of that awkward party scenario, it's more like you're greeted at the door with a warm welcome, you're introduced to the team, maybe you even get a company swag bag.
Yeah, exactly. You want them to feel like they belong, they're part of the team, and they're excited to be there.
Okay, so we've talked about talent acquisition, we've talked about onboarding, but there's a whole other side to HR that can feel really daunting, especially for startups who are already juggling a million things.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the technical side, like setting up HR systems.
Yeah, the wonderful world of HR technology, it can definitely feel overwhelming, especially for startups that maybe don't have dedicated IT support or the budget to invest in fancy software.
Right, but you don't have to become a tech expert overnight.
Exactly, and that's where fractional HR can really come in handy. They can help you choose the right systems, implement them, and manage them effectively.
So they're like your personal HR tech gurus.
Yeah, exactly. They can help you set up things like applicant tracking systems, performance management software, all the tools that you need to manage your HR efficiently.
Okay, hold on. Let's back up for a second because I think it's important to define some of these terms, especially for startups who might be new to this whole HR scene.
Yeah.
What exactly is an applicant tracking system and how does it benefit a startup?
Sure. An applicant tracking system, or ATS for short, is basically a software platform that helps companies manage their entire recruiting and hiring process. So it's like a central hub where you can post job descriptions, collect applications, track candidates, schedule interviews, all in one place.
So instead of having resumes scattered all over your inbox and spreadsheets that make your head spin, you have everything organized and streamlined.
Exactly. And it can save you so much time and hassle. And there are tons of great ATS options out there, from simple, free platforms to more robust systems. A fractional HR expert can help you choose the right one for your needs.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about performance management software? What is that and how does it help?
Performance management software is basically a tool that helps you track employee goals, progress, and performance over time. It can facilitate regular feedback conversations, document performance reviews, and even help you identify areas for growth and development.
So it's not just about those annual performance reviews anymore. It's about creating a culture of continuous feedback and improvement.
Exactly, and it can really help startups build a high-performing, engaged workforce.
Okay, this is all making a lot more sense now. So we've covered talent acquisition, onboarding, and HR technology. But there's one area that still makes me a little nervous, and that's the legal side of things. compliance regulations, all that stuff.
I hear you. Compliance is definitely not the most glamorous part of running a business, but it's absolutely crucial, especially for startups who might not have in-house legal expertise.
Right, because mistakes in this area can be really costly.
Exactly. Employment law is complex and it's constantly changing. So luckily, fractional HR professionals are up to date on all the latest regulations, and they can ensure that you're operating within the law, protecting both your business and your employees.
Okay, so they're like our legal navigators guiding us through the treacherous waters of compliance.
Exactly. And that peace of mind is priceless, especially for startups who are already juggling so much.
Right, it's one less thing to worry about. Now, the last area that the article mentions is employee development, which might seem like something that can wait until later, but I'm starting to realize that it's actually really important for attracting and retaining top talent, even in those early stages.
You're absolutely right. Employee development is often seen as a nice to have, but it's really a must-have in today's competitive market.
Because people want to know that they have opportunities to learn and grow, even in a startup environment.
Exactly. They're looking for companies that are invested in their future, not just in what they can do for the company right now.
And it's not just about, providing training programs or mentorship opportunities. It's about creating a culture of learning and growth.
Exactly, and a fractional HR can play a key role in that. They can help you design and implement development programs that align with your company's goals and that help your employees reach their full potential.
Okay, it's all sounding really good. But I have to ask, are there any potential downsides or challenges to consider when it comes to fractional HR?
That's a great question, and it's important to be realistic. While fractional HR offers a lot of advantages, it's not a magic bullet, and there are a few things to keep in mind. So yeah, like any strategic decision, it's important to weigh those pros and cons carefully. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right, so what are some of those potential challenges that startups should be aware of when considering fractional HR?
Well, one of the biggest ones, and this is true for any hire really, is finding the right fit. You need to find a fractional HR professional who aligns with your company culture, your values. They really need to understand your vision, your way of working, and be able to integrate seamlessly with your team.
Right. It's not just about checking off a list of skills and experience. It's also about finding someone who feels like a natural extension of your company.
Exactly. You want someone who gets you, who speaks your language, and who can build those strong relationships with your team.
Right. You want someone who feels like they're part of the team, even if they're not there full time.
Exactly. And another thing to keep in mind is communication. Since fractional HR professionals aren't on site all the time, you need to be really intentional about communication. You need to establish those clear channels and processes from the get-go.
Right, so regular check-ins, clear expectations, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to over-communicate in the beginning. It's always better to be on the same page than to have misunderstandings later on.
Now, you mentioned earlier that fractional HR isn't a magic bullet. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's important to remember that while fractional HR can provide guidance and support, ultimately the startup is still responsible for its own HR strategy and decisions. It's not about outsourcing your entire HR function.
Right, it's about bringing in a partner who can help you navigate those complexities and make informed choices.
Exactly. And the more effort and engagement you put in, the more you're going to get out of that relationship with your fractional HR partner.
Right, so it's a collaborative process.
It is.
Okay, so for startups out there who are intrigued by this idea of fractional HR, but maybe still a little hesitant, what advice would you give them?
I'd say do your research, talk to other startups who have used fractional HR, get a sense of what worked well for them, what challenges they faced. It's like any investment, you want to make sure it's the right fit for your company.
Right, it's about finding the right partner for your specific needs.
Exactly, and don't be afraid to ask questions. The more you understand about fractional HR, the better equipped you'll be to make that decision.
Awesome. Well, I think this has been a really insightful discussion about fractional HR, and it's definitely something that more and more startups are considering as they grow and evolve.
Yeah, it's a trend that I think is here to stay.
So if you're out there listening and you're thinking about fractional HR, I hope this has given you some food for thought.
Yeah, and some things to consider as you make those decisions about building your team.
So until next time, keep diving deep into the world of knowledge.
And keep building those amazing companies.
And we'll be here to guide you every step of the way.
See you next time.
That's a wrap for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us